to a chick. So say goodbye to everything you ever knew before. And I'd understand if you went running out the door. And I'll keep you safe, and no harm will ever come to you, I swear. And I'll kill if they even dare. I'll kill, I swear.
This episode, and every episode henceforth, are all dedicated to recently departed friend Miko Miko
Mike Hall. Good friend of ours.
Of
Yeah, he
numerous
passed away.
Grand Rapids bands, the Lazy Hands, the Moonrays, Cheese Tones, one of the all-ever rotating members of the Potato Babies.
Right.
He will forever be remembered as just a happy, great person.
Great guy.
Due to not having the pod at the time, we forever and always dedicate this to friend and bandmate Brian Higgins, who is also in our hearts.
Yep.
Always.
Yep.
They will both live on in music, which is the best part of music. Let us raise our glasses to Miko Miko,
Tink.
a.k.a. your brother look-alike.
Yeah, we do look
And
alike.
also
People think we're brothers.
Brian Higgins. Two
Brian Higgins, missed
just
that man.
fantastic fucking people.
And we might as well mention Eric Soules. I miss that
son
guy.
of a bitch.
Yep. So many young lives.
All of our episode, Dave Vacant. We could go on for a minute. All of them
I don't
great
want to.
people.
You know what
but
I'd like to do?
we were a little closer to the first two. So anyways, we love you. We love their families. We love everybody who played with them. It was great.
Oh,
it's
Her Highness
sad.
is getting
Let's
emotional.
move on. We have some shout outs.
Yes, we do. Your Highness.
My first shout out goes to Juan P. He is currently working at the 28th Street Pain for Sale. He gave me an amazing memorial tattoo for my brother, who will have been passed away for 3 years this Christmas Eve.
Do you know what a Downy Debbie is?
Yeah, me. And also he gave me a cool wedding ring tattoo and some finger tattoos, and he didn't give it. We bought this shit, but he is the amazing artist that did it.
I got a really cool
He free-handed
tattoo on my wrist.
your
really
Spectre
cool.
tattoo.
Yep.
Super cool. Shout out to Juan.
Thank you, Juan.
Pain for Sale, 28th Street, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go there. Get some work done. Get some piercings by somebody else. We also had a personal message via Instagram from ePenton75. And I quote, she said, "I just discovered your podcast and I'm loving it." 4 exclamation points.
Sweet.
4 exclamation points.
That's good.
Dude, that's amazing. Thank you, ePenton75. I happen to know your first name is Emily. You are now part of our OG murder crew.
Part of our thing. Thank you, Emily.
Hey, boo.
Hey, how you doing, Your Highness?
I'm doing fucking great. Look at this. The sun is shining.
It is.
There's
It's this weird orange thing in the sky that we're not
Very
used to seeing.
little snow. I see a little bit of snow on the neighbor's roof. Great.
Yep, it is.
Life is good. Our Christmas shopping is done.
It's done.
The adults are just getting
Oy.
cash, so F them. The
Yeah.
babies are the fun ones.
Yeah, they get cool
So,
little things.
We're gonna
Thank
have,
you.
I'm going to have a 3-day weekend. I'm going to have a 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
I'll probably start a new podcast in that time.
God, I hope so.
I'm going to fuck off. Do a favor. Share us with a friend or a coworker about our podcast. And if you guys want one of our cool stickers, email us at michiganmurdersmusic@gmail.com.
And I would like to thank you for choosing Michigan Murders and Music. We discuss murders in our gorgeous state of Michigan, and we top it off with a little bit of homegrown Michigan music, and then we leave you with a happy ending and on a good note.
I was thinking our state is so gorgeous right now. We should take a road trip to Rock Hunt on the other side of the state this weekend.
Yeah, I know you want to, but it's so darn cold.
There's this thing called hotels.
Okay.
Where are we going to today, Boo?
Today we are going to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh, boy.
Hey, you know what? We missed our explicit content warning.
Shit, we always do that.
So I would like to do that if
I
we
think
may.
you may absolutely do that. I think
So,
it
Her
should be
Highness,
required.
Her Highness will swear. She's going to say things that are naughty, sometimes offensive. We don't necessarily condone that type of behavior, but here it is.
Sometimes it's completely inappropriate.
Yeah. No, it totally is.
It just is.
And she mentioned to me that a youngster asked her for a bunch of ones. She wanted this little girl wanted ones.
It was a little boy.
Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
So he was
you
asking
weren't
for
listening.
change for a 50. He wanted $51 bills.
$51 bills.
I think he's going to a club.
That bitch is going to a club.
He's doing something naughty.
If you have found a whole bunch of ones stacked in your kid's room, he's either dealing
He's doing
drugs
something funny.
or he's making trips to the strip club.
Yeah, I think most likely. the
Either
strip club.
way, don't let him listen to us because we're bad.
So now we're heading to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, home of the University of Michigan and the Wolverines. The University of Michigan Medical Center was opened in 1850. 1850.
That's quite a while ago.
It was a minute ago.
That's pre-Civil War.
That's when we were just watching that video
Or
of
Civil
those
War
cool
era.
trains
Yeah.
in Michigan. Steam engine trains.
They created a way for medical students to go right straight into the field of practicing medicine.
Yes, because they had the medical center that opened in 1850, and the VA, which was the Veterans Association Hospital, that was founded in 1953.
Veterans Affairs, but anyway.
Oh, I was going to look it up. I just kind of thought that.
It's okay.
Yeah, thanks. Anyways, they had ties to the University of Michigan, which kind of gave the U of M students a pipeline to A, practice while they were preaching, and B, into jobs right when they got out of school.
Right, and in the late 1960s and through the mid-70s, there was a nursing shortage.
Shortage?
Yeah, ways were found around this issue by bringing in people from the Philippines, and they were working under a visa.
Yes, they just found some loopholes and brought them in, and that's fantastic. Nothing against it.
Yep, in the
We
summer
come to the summer of 75.
So wait. Oh, okay. Remember
Okay.
the summer of 69?
Oh,
I know,
don't.
it was like it was never going to end.
'cause you were
And then there
only-
was the summer of 420.
Oh, do you
That
know?
was like last summer.
Do you know who was born on April 20th? I just found this today.
Oh, we're going to have to leave that
No.
for your own research. Do your own research. Find out who was born on April 20th. We're not going to tell you.
1889. Look it up.
Yeah. So in July,
Of the summer of 75. Wait, can I do a timeout real quick?
yes.
This is not in the notes. Names are available for people. In this, I've tried to make it not complicated, but a lot of things happen in a really short period of time. So try to follow me. It's going to be hard. I took extra ADD medicine a few minutes
Oh,
ago.
bull crap.
I did too.
Okay.
Bull crap me right up your asshole. Okay, here we go. So with that said, the summer of 1975.
In July, a 63-year-old man had a tumor removed from his right lung. An aging farmer in poor health, but nothing unusual. No complications from surgery, and suddenly he went into respiratory arrest and lived and quickly recovered. The next day, though,
Hey, the next day, he had a strong pulse and he was back to good health. The
Yep.
same 63-year-old farmer that went in there, he went into respiratory arrest again for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
2 more respiratory arrests happened that night. Same hospital, same place.
Yep, one man in for surgery on an aneurysm that developed in his abdomen. Was in poor health, but
You
expected
giggle
to
at the
recover.
weirdest times.
Literally minutes after the farmer was revived for the second time, the aneurysm man, the man with the aneurysm, went into respiratory arrest.
And then 15 minutes after the man with the aneurysm went into arrest, a third ICU patient began to arrest.
Pattern developing here very quickly.
Lots of respiratory arrests going on real quick. Like over 3 days, 5 motherfucking respiratory arrests happened in the ICU of that Veterans Association hospital.
Veterans Affairs. 3 days later, there will be 6 more. So this is, you whisper that to me one more time. I'm going to put my finger in your nose.
Keep breathing.
Okay, so the hospital believed this was due to poor health of the men who had just been through the war.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
It totally does.
They don't know back then. July 30th, 1975, the sound of respiratory arrest alarms began to ring again. In other words, those weird hospital noises that we all hate.
Right. 73-year-old double amputee, definitely not a healthy man, heavy drinker, fast life, kidneys failing, and diabetes.
I'm sorry, I think his name was
like
Tink Tink.
Oh, yes. You're a bot. Poor little Tink Tink.
Ain't life a bitch. Sorry, that was not in the script that I just threw you totally off.
He was also recovering from surgery as well as can be expected when he went into respiratory arrest.
Doctors could not understand the reason for his respiratory arrest.
Oh, another man, coronary bypass surgery at the U of M hospital, then released into the state care of the Veterans Affairs. Respiratory arrest that night, July 30th, and was stabilized.
Bladder cancer surgery brought the next man into the hospital. He was 60 years old. Doctor said his condition was good and he was healing well. On the night of July 30th, respiratory arrest. Another motherfucking respiratory arrest.
Yeah, and
I've already lost count.
The doctors are just assuming it's the poor health of these patients. It's just a weird coincidence. But
It's a coinky dink.
But then seemingly healthy patients started suffering from respiratory arrest.
Yes. On August 2nd, 1975, just after 9:30 p.m., when the first of 3 patients went into RA, respiratory arrest, or they coded, is what they like to say. Unlike before, these patients were not in the ICU.
Here's where things get interesting. All patients had an IV fluid bag. The board members thought that there was some sort of contamination or maybe an allergic reaction.
None of them really wanted to believe that somebody could be so
Right. How could you have somebody on your staff that's
heinous.
trying to murder the patients?
I mean, they're all there to care for the patients.
Exactly.
So
It's crazy.
we're here August 12th. I can't speak. 1975. 5 more patients coded that night.
Yep. Arthur for the second time.
We
5
used
minutes.
Arthur's name because
We
he
did.
codes like
Yeah.
3 or 4 times.
Yep.
And that strong ass motherfucker makes it through every time. It's great.
He's a healthy young man. Old
He
man.
wasn't young.
5 minutes later, ICU patient, unnamed, had bowel surgery during recovery.
The second man arrested during his recovery. Then the third, I don't know how this goes, but then a third ICU patient codes. And hours later, another gentleman who was in for a broken hip surgery. Again, no reason for him to code.
I like this one. The fractured
Fucking
elbow.
codes.
Fractured elbow. Oh, and he codes.
Fractured elbow surgery guy codes.
No
All
reason
of
for
them
that.
have respiratory arrest in one motherfucking day.
August 14th, 1975.
What were you doing on August 14th, 1975?
Probably mowing a lawn. That was my thing.
Oh my God, how old
Yeah.
were you in 75?
I was 9.
You were
Yeah.
mowing lawns at 9?
Oh, heck yeah. I had to make money so I could buy things like
I was riding horses and
soda pops.
being a spoiled... No, okay, let's move on. August 14, 1975, at 8:30 p.m., nurse does her rounds, and she's checking all her patients, and they were all doing well. There was no concerns on her checklist.
Yeah, and then 2 hours later, another patient was dead.
a man 2 doors down, not to be mistaken with
The 3 doors down, yeah.
He was found without a pulse. That night, 2 more.
Two more coded.
Yeah. What you said.
Yeah, they coded, went into respiratory arrest. 2 had been revived, but both ended up dying within days.
One died like that night and the other died like 10 days later. Yep. Dr. Hill had seen how easy the patients were intubated, which normally, even if a patient is under some sort of drugs, their body tends to resist and struggle that. So frequently they use a numbing agent. But with...
I need to get some of that. So when I intubate you,
I don't
know what I mean?
like you at all. Go away. None... Fucker. She noticed that during the recitations that she saw, none of these patients were resisting, that their bodies were like almost paralyzed. They didn't, even under a normal medication, your body kind of reacts, but they were just like out for the count, right? So
Dr. Hill and another doctor wondered if the drug Pavilon had been given to them. It temporarily paralyzes the muscles. She tested a patient and was found that it was present in their system.
That was true.
With the antidote in hand, she put it into an IV bag on a man who had arrested 3 times.
Yeah, that one dude we talked about earlier. And so she had the antidote in hand, so she did the Pavilon and was like, let's see if this is how they react of what we've been seeing.
Yep, and then a second patient also responded well to the antidote.
Exactly.
They know exactly what's going on right now.
So then they went back to one of the patients who had survived, and he couldn't talk, but he was able to write things, and he wrote PIA.
Which is the name of one of the nurses, a nickname. And he said that she was a Mexican-looking nurse and administered something.
Same day. What day are we on?
5 more respiratory arrests.
August 15th, 1975. 5 more RAs happening.
Really short period of time.
One of them kills a man. 3 of them were a definite result of Pavilon. And by 10:30 that night, the FBI were called in.
More than 50 reports, 35 being poisoned, some more than once. 11 would die.
It's fucking insane. That's all between, what did we say, June and August. One summer, basically. Nurses throughout the place were diligently interviewed. 2 patients say that they saw a nurse, Filipina, enter their room and put something in the IV bag. A 3rd patient claimed it was a man with curly hair who had messed with the IV bag.
So patients named very particularly Filipina Narciso and Leonora Perez.
1 year goes by and there are no arrests. There are 0 suspects besides the 2 women. Leonora Perez and Filipina Narciso were arrested and charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder.
Investigators did mainly interview the women nurses, those 2 ladies, because women were known to be the poisoning type.
I mean, have you listened to some of our previous episodes?
Yeah, they're not going to let a stick of dynamite.
Mary, who was that other lady who traveled about? And yeah, anyways, exactly.
It's a lot of
women tend to poison. All the nurses were interviewed, but the 2 were definitely kind of fitting what people had claimed. Patients had claimed.
So trial was set, and in 1977, a jury pool was selected for the court. Media, nonfiction novel painted the young women negatively.
I did not look up that nonfiction novel, but I kind of want to read it.
I'm not sure what that means, right.
It was a nonfiction novel, meaning...
I don't know, cartoons, perhaps? I don't know. That's truthful.
Anyways.
Right.
It did become quite a thing. Some people thought that the FBI used the women as scapegoats to close the case quickly. At one point, the nurse's supervisor had actually admitted to her psychiatrist that she was the person who poisoned all the patients. And it was just written off. Like she didn't admit it.
A month later, that same supervisor took her own life on February 2nd, 1977.
If that doesn't say you're guilty of something, why didn't they listen to... That's so ridiculous. Even though she had admitted to the poisonings, the trial still went on. Mm-hmm. In March of 1977, trial for the two women began. Hospital logs, patient, staff, testimony would all be used in the trial against the two ladies.
Filipina Narciso. Filipina Narciso was on duty every night that the respiratory arrests happened, except for two. Son of a man.
Son of a man.
Also had testified to seeing Narciso go into the patient's room.
At the time, there were no tests that could detect this drug in the bodies that had already undergone the embalming process, so they could not test those who had already passed away.
And this is where chemistry comes in, and the FBI had tests. They were able to test even after the body was embalmed.
They developed a test.
Yes, because of this. Yeah, it's great. And several bodies were exhumed and tested, and they tested positive.
Prosecutors only had to prove that they had the opportunity to poison their patients, and that was proven as such.
The two women took the stand, and their stories were not lining up with the facts. Some say it was a language barrier, others that they were just lies.
The women had loads of supporters, like people took the streets, and supporters raised $100,000 for the nurses, claiming they were victims of racism and sexism. Mm-hmm. Just quite a possibility.
Because of the testimony of that patient who said that he saw a curly-haired man in the room, some of the witnesses may have been clouded by racial bias.
And then we have the confession of the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Gave the supporters more reason to support these women. Like, there's two things. There's two other things that people could look at as possible victim or
perpetrators.
Perps.
The perps.
So we got this curly-haired man and someone who actually admitted to it, and they were just like, meh, let's shuffle those under the rug like we didn't even hear them.
Yeah, and it's perfect, really, for the defense because it gives doubt to the jury. Yeah.
The case lasted into the summer of 1977. It was actually the longest federal trials in U.S. history at the time.
13 days for the jury to come to their conclusion. That's a long time. Can you imagine sitting on pins and needles the whole time?
I imagine arguing with people in that room for 13 days. That's definitely the longest we've had of any of our jury conclusions.
Yep, they found
the
women guilty in 3 counts of poisoning, 3 counts of conspiring to poison patients, sentenced to life.
In a West Virginia correctional facility.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little irritated by that at first and was like, fuck that.
It's a
Why
small
aren't
number.
They in Michigan?
It gets worse.
However, I feel like, fuck it. Our taxes shouldn't support them. I mean, I know our federal taxes are supporting them. But anyways, so there was a retrial because of all the supporters and the activists. I don't want to say they went crazy, but they did their thing. And I don't know who's right or wrong in this situation. I'm not saying. Big demonstrations happened with many nurses, and definitely many of the nurses that were brought in for the shortage. They had big rallies.
Yeah. And
big rallies in Chicago and Ann Arbor, Detroit.
And what led to what, I'm not really sure. But this is where things get a little weird. They had the retrial.
Yeah.
And after 4 months, the women were released from prison and all the charges were dropped. And they returned to nursing. Oh my God. Like it just never happened.
It's very debated to actually who killed and poisoned all of these men, and no other suspects were ever brought to trial. You know what? Did we say the numbers of people that
we did
were poisoned?
Throughout the episode.
Let me say it again to remind you, because I forgot. Maybe you forgot too. Smoke up, Johnny. There were more than 50 reports. 35 of them had been poisoned, and some of them more than once, and 11 would die. These ladies walked away. Now, could they be innocent? Quite possibly, but we won't really know, I don't think.
Right. You know what? You know what
What?
time it is?
It's time to get ill. I said, what's the time?
It's time for a happy ending.
Yes.
Okay, so we have
It's time for me to drink and smoke.
a couple of bands.
Wait, watch this.
Oh, here we go.
It's time to just chill. Smoke your weed. Listen to the summer crickets, even though it's winter. Okay.
So we have two bands that we're featuring tonight. You've already heard one at the beginning.
Nope. We are going back to Murder Party at the beginning. We were playing both songs at the end.
Okay, so we're going to feature two songs. One guitar player who happens to be in both bands. The two different bands.
The guy we talked
different
about at the
songs.
beginning of this,
Michael
Hall.
Yep. So one of the bands he's in is called Moonrays. And the next band, we've seen them. They're called the Lazy
We've
Hands.
seen both.
We have.
Moonrays are a great surf band.
Yep.
Both bands are amazing, have fantastic musicians in both bands. And again,
Are you going to cry again?
no, fuck me. He was not even 50. This is some bullshit. All right, it's bullshit.
It is. But
We're
we
50.
love the man, and we're going to
We
feature
loved him,
his
and we're
playing.
going to feature him. We loved his playing. You were able to stand in with them once.
Yeah,
That
with the
was
Moonrays. That was
fucking great.
That was great.
Experience.
It was an honor.
It was.
Yeah.
And so here is your happy ending. Boot, cheers.
Cheers. Here,
I hope
where's
you
my
guys
cup?
were
Here it is. Tink.
able to keep up with the numerous poisonings that happen. Good Lord, keep weird drugs out of ladies' hands. They get wackadoodle.
Yeah. Your Highness.
Don't you say a word about me
Okay.
right now.
I was about to.
Okay. Well, here's
Excuse me.
your motherfucker. Here's the Moonrays. And then directly after that, the Lazy Hands. We're going to sit back and enjoy this music with a tall glass, a pipe,
Water.
and water my
Mostly.
ass. And remember the time when Michael and Miko
Don't
Hall
bring that stuff up.
saved my life
They did.
from shots. I won't do them ever again. Here's the Moonrays. I love you guys.
That was at the
Thanks.
garage, by the way.
Thank you for listening.
Decided to come over and see what's going on. Doesn't seem to be a shadow in the city. Skeleton man is waiting on the corner, waiting for the girl to give him what he wants. He'll take away his sacred heart. And on the back of a motorcycle he starts. Engine runs away over the hill and over the dale. Is that dusty trail in night? Imaginary western. Is that dusty trail in night? Inside his head, he's lost it all. His pants too short, his body's too tall. Take away his sacred heart. On the back of the motorcycle he starts. Engine runs away over the hill and over the dale. Is that dusty trail in night? Imaginary western. Is that dusty trail in night? Imaginary western. Skeleton man is waiting on the corner, waiting for the girl to give him what he wants. They'll take away his sacred heart. And on the back of a motorcycle he starts. Engine runs away over the hill and over the hill. Is that dusty trail in night? Imaginary western. Is that dusty trail in night? Imaginary western.
Thank you for choosing Michigan Murders and Music. Please rate the show wherever you listen. Michigan Murders and Music is produced by The Boots. Episodes are researched and written by Your Highness. Edited by Your Highness. Views and opinions are the sole stupidity of us and us alone. Don't blame others, please. Listening to this podcast could quite possibly cause major problems to your earballs and definitely will mess up your kids. Permission has been given to us by the bands, and we purchase our music on bandcamp.com. Support your local music scene and all local music scenes.